So think about this for a second. Have you ever looked at a number and just assumed it was a static, fixed thing? Just a symbol on a page? Well, according to a completely fascinating theoretical framework we're looking at today, what if numbers are actually just the exhaust? What if they're literally just the visible residues left behind by an invisible, infinite engine of pure geometric motion? It's a wild thought experiment, right?
Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are diving headfirst into an incredibly intriguing concept known as the prime field architecture. Now, this isn't your standard textbook arithmetic. It actually offers a mechanical blueprint of the mathematical universe, giving us a way of seeing the integer field as this massive, continuous, dynamic arithmetic engine. We're going to explore a completely different way to view prime numbers, structure, and honestly, reality itself. Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. We'll be covering 1. Building the prime field. 2. Fibers, lanes, and motion. 3. The seam at 15. 4. The symmetry of primes. 5. The Riemann hypothesis bridge. And finally, 6. Numbers as infinite motion. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. Building the prime field, the boundary condition. Let's start with an absolute void and see exactly how a universe of motion might begin. So, to create that universe, we first need a boundary, and that boundary is the number 30. Now, you might be wondering, why 30? Well, because it is the direct product of the first three foundational prime numbers, 2 times 3 times 5. In this specific framework, these first three primes actually act as the creators of the field. Multiplying them together generates a boundary of 30, and that establishes the very first complete phase or cycle for integer motion. From here on out, everything in this theoretical universe is going to operate on a repeating loop of 30.
And because of that strict boundary of 30, the universe cleanly separates into three distinct continuous fibers. Notice how P2 handles all the even numbers, while P3 carries the odd composites. But P1, the prime spine, that is where the magic happens. Every single prime number in existence greater than 5 absolutely must live inside that P1 fiber. The universe has instantly organized itself into three distinct lanes of traffic. It's almost like a cosmic highway.
All right, moving on to Section 2. Fibers, lanes, and motion, the spacing engine.
So, instead of just looking at these fibers as static lists of numbers, let's look closer and see them as dynamic moving gears. Notice the strict, repeating geometric rhythm that governs the gaps in the prime spine. It goes +6, +4, +2, +4, +2, +4, +6, +2. And this sequence just repeats infinitely. It's exactly like the ticking of an intricate clock. There's a beautiful, structured mechanical motion hiding in plain sight, right inside the prime numbers.
Section 3. The seam at 15, the balancing act.
Now, with all this rhythmic motion spinning infinitely forward, how does the system keep from just flying apart? Well, enter the number 15. Because our phase boundary is 30, the exact geometric midpoint is 15. It resides in that P3 oddality fiber we talked about earlier. But its true job in this framework is absolutely crucial. It acts as the perfect central balancer for the entire Mod 30 engine, kind of like the fulcrum of a seesaw. Every single phase of 30 has a seam right smack in the middle.
Section 4. The symmetry of primes. Mirror balance. Let's see how this whole engine actually centers itself.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that the prime candidates inside our P1 fiber aren't just bouncing around randomly. Take a look at the numbers immediately surrounding our seam at 15. We have 13 on the left and 17 on the right. They sit perfectly, symmetrically equidistant from the balancer.
And that undeniably perfect balance ripples outward to include every single number in the P1 fiber. Just look at the pattern here. 11 pairs with 19, 7 pairs with 23, 1 pairs with 29. Every single pair of prime candidates adds up exactly to our boundary number of 30. It's such an incredibly satisfying symmetry. Primes are so often considered chaotic, But here, they appear completely bound by a strict mirror symmetry.
Section 5. The Riemann hypothesis bridge, the Holy Grail.
To understand why this structural engine is so fascinating to theorists, we have to know what the Riemann hypothesis is actually searching for. It all comes down to the critical line. The hypothesis proposes that all the non-trivial zeros of the Riemann zeta function lie perfectly on a specific vertical line in the complex plane. This is mathematically expressed as a ratio of 1/2. Essentially, 1/2 is the Holy Grail ratio where all the hidden patterns of primes are believed to balance out.
And this brilliantly illustrates a completely mind-blowing parallel. Think about it.
Our balancing seam is 15 out of a boundary of 30, which is exactly 1/2. The framework suggests that this physical geometric balancing ratio of our integer engine perfectly matches the analytic center of the Riemann hypothesis. They both appear to be expressing the exact same fundamental principle of central balance at 1/2.
The source material actually maps out 4 completed structural links proposing how this all connects. We have prime candidate filtration through the P1 fiber, root hierarchy through multiplication, Euler encoding through prime factors, and critical center alignment right through the seam. By aligning everything on that 1/2 critical center, the framework argues that the incredibly complex math of the Riemann hypothesis might just be the analytic shadow of this physical mod 30 machine.
Section 6. Numbers as infinite motion. The paradigm shift.
Arithmetic is not fundamentally a collection of numbers. Arithmetic is a collection of motions. I mean, wow, that quote perfectly captures the essence of this whole explainer. Under this paradigm, numbers aren't static objects at all. They are proposed to be just the residue, the exhaust traces left behind when infinite operations, things like boundary formation, gap scaling, and mirror symmetry, run through this mod 30 phase space. What we perceive as numbers are hypothesized to be mere snapshots of a universe constantly in motion.
So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. If the rigid, trusted numbers of our mathematics are actually just the physical residue of infinite underlying geometric motion, what else in our universe is merely a shadow of a deeper, hidden engine? It really makes you look at everything, from physics to nature to time itself, in a completely different light. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.